Welcome to Told in Stone. This video is part of a collaboration with author and futurist John Michael Godier. It's sponsored by Trade Coffee. How will the world end? Reflecting on that somber topic during the reign of Nero, the Stoic philosopher Seneca decided that the most likely cause would be a universal flood in which rain and surging tides would merge with subterranean reservoirs to drown every land. After imagining the last survivors starving on mountaintops as lightning played over the swelling sea, Seneca looked further into the future. The earth, he believed, would be restored after the deluge, and humanity recreated. But the new men would be as corrupt as the old, and the world would be drowned again. Seneca also believed, however, that before the coming deluge, human observation and research would reveal more and more of nature's secrets, solving puzzles that perplexed his own generation. Seneca's musings reflect the complexity of ancient ideas about the future, which differed profoundly from our own. Though prefigured during the Enlightenment, the modern assumption that the future will be more technologically advanced, if not materially better, than the present is a product of the 19th century, when the Industrial Revolution made a belief in continual progress both plausible and fashionable. Far from assuming progress, the foundational texts of classical literature proclaim the decline of human society from a primeval golden age. The most famous example, quoted and imitated throughout antiquity, is Hesiod's description of the ages of man, which presents humanity as the last and least in a series of mortal races. Decline was ongoing. Soon, Hesiod claimed, humanity would lose its last semblance of morality and be destroyed by Zeus. Greek thinkers often incorporated nostalgia for the lost golden age into a cyclical conception of history, which applied the human progression of youth, maturity, and old age to whole societies. The historian Polybius, for example, described the cycle of governments, from monarchy to mob rule, through which all states inevitably pass, again and again, indefinitely. Pre-Socratic philosophers applied the same paradigm to the universe itself. Heraclitus, for example, believed that all matter was continually resolving from and dissolving into primordial fire, and Empedocles outlined a cosmic cycle of love and strife that caused all matter to unite and disintegrate in turn. Later, the Stoics held that the universe was consumed by a conflagration at the end of every eon, after which history repeated exactly. There would be another Athens, another Alexander, another Rome. Without necessarily arguing against a cyclical theory of history, a number of authors celebrated technological advances. Although there was some disagreement about the relative significance of ingenuity and serendipity in driving progress, it was generally acknowledged that human discoveries had altered life for the better. The long list of inventions in Pliny the Elder's Encyclopedia, which ranges from the alphabet to catapults, attests to widespread awareness of technological change over time. Assertions that the future might be better than the present, however, emphasized moral or political, rather than technological, change. The most famous utopia in classical literature, the ideal city of Callipolis in Plato's Republic, is if anything less technologically advanced than actual contemporary polis. Before moving on to Roman visions of the future, I'd like to talk briefly about this video's sponsor. Trade Coffee is a coffee subscription service designed to make it easy for anybody to have a great cup of coffee every day. Trade sends coffee directly to your door. You choose the delivery schedule, decide whether you want ground or whole bean, and select from a wide range of coffees produced by America's finest independent roasters. If you know what you like, Trade has coffees for your tastes. And if, like me, you're new to specialty coffee, Trade gives you the tools to explore. On the basis of Trade's personalized recommendations, I selected Joven Colombia Cauca, a ground blend with a delicious chocolate-infused taste. Right now, Trade is offering Told in Stone viewers $30 off their subscriptions, plus free shipping at drinktrade.com/toldin. That's drinktrade.com/toldin for $30 off your subscription to the best coffees in the country. The Romans inherited Greek ideas about the future and infused them with a sense of political destiny. After the unrest of the late Republic, Roman poets hailed the peace brought by the reign of Augustus as a return of the primeval Golden Age, when war was unknown. Though intended to please the emperor, these evocations seem to have reflected genuine enthusiasm. Whether there was any widespread expectation of actual improvement in the future, however, is difficult to say. The Romans imagined the original Golden Age to have been devoid of technology, since the earth had freely provided all things. Although the new imperial Golden Age was not associated with a rejection of existing comforts, nor was it linked with any expectation of technological progress. What sufficed in the present would provide for the future. Long before the actual decay of Roman power, proclamations of the new golden millennium coexisted with anxieties about future decline. The Romans liked to claim that their ancestors had been simple and virtuous, and seldom missed an opportunity to attack the corruption of their society, and especially its leaders, by modern luxuries. Such self-indulgence, they lamented, would doom the Roman people if not corrected. The seemingly endless series of disasters that overtook the empire in late antiquity seemed to vindicate this view, save in the eyes of the growing Christian community, which had a very different conception of the future. In contrast to the cycles of destruction and rebirth proposed by Greek philosophers, the early Christians had a resolutely linear conception of time, which traced a divine plan of salvation culminating in the second coming of Jesus. Christian scholars posited that human history would last 6,000 years, 1 millennium for each of the 6 days of creation. Some believed that the 6th millennium was nearly ended, and that the second coming was at hand. Others, notably St. Augustine, rejected any precise predictions. Following a prophecy in the book of Daniel, which foresaw the rise and fall of 4 great kingdoms, early Christians tended to identify the Roman Empire as the last power that would dominate the earth. When it fell, they predicted the end times would begin. This interpretation would have a long history in the Eastern Roman Empire, where the fall of Constantinople came to be closely associated with the apocalypse. Although Christians believed that the Gospels were destined to be preached in every land, and hoped for a universal community of believers, they did not expect the world to improve materially in the future. In this, at least, they agreed with the Romans. Despite poetic effusions about a new golden age, the Romans expected decline. With reform and discipline, they might delay dissolution. But in the end, inertia would prevail. The empire would fall, and all the ordered symmetries of civilization dissolve to lie in chaos until the world was renewed and history repeated again. To explore other visions of the future, and some of the fascinating parallels that contemporary thinkers have drawn between our own society's destiny and the visions of the Greeks and Romans, follow the link on screen to the second part of this video by futurist John Michael Godier. Thanks for watching.